I knew a lot about algorithms, AI, all that stuff, all that shit. That none of that was useful in the journey, because I give you an example. The night before my wedding, I was getting married. I was doing this exercise. I was in front of an Excel file in a video call with executive committee, because I had to fire one third of the people of the company next week, and that was the day before, the night before my wedding. I still recall the Excel file with like different columns, because we had to select 30 people to lay off, to fire. And it was okay. If they have family, we give them 3 points. Trying to figure it out how easy we're going to be for them to find a new job. So it's not. No, it's bad. It's wrong. The exercise. Nobody. So nobody prepares you to do these kind of things.
This conversation with Alex Rios blew my mind completely. It was totally unexpected, and it was not even part of the Founder Bible original format. So I still decided to include it into these interviews and this podcast because it was just too good not to include it. We went very deep into the conversation, and he shared all of his methods that he developed over the years, more than 20 years as an entrepreneur, from both starting with a VC-backed company up to now where he leads his own company on his own pace, on his own rules. So Alex is an outlier, I would say, and he really shares a lot of wisdom. He's also a master of martial arts. And I hope that you're going to get as much as I got from this conversation, because it's so powerful. I've been doing like entrepreneurship life for like the past 10 something years, even a little bit more. And it's been like full roller coaster mode for the past 10 years. I had problems with mental health because also probably coming from the fact that I have ADHD, always been like a super energetic person, blah, blah, blah. So I went into meditation first. And from there, also that's the reason why I'm in Asia, because I'm Buddhist and going deeper into these knowledges and so on. And then during COVID, I completely had burnout with my body. So from there, I started to go into biohacking, and my background is in gastronomy and food and chemistry. So I basically kind of studied like a parallel PhD while doing my startup on biohacking. And then lately, more and more connecting the dots between science and ancient wisdom. And if we can say that out loud, a little bit about spirituality as well. The reason why I'm doing these calls with other founders is because first, I want to understand why the heck are we not asking for help when we need it, and we just keep going through a wall until we learn it the hard way. I make a very interesting metaphor every time I start this conversation, which is, for me, founders are high performance athletes, but there is a main difference between the founder and the athlete. The athlete knows that if they want to win the Olympics, they need to build a personal team to support them. Massage, nutritionist, coaches, mental trainer, etc., etc. But the founders don't. The founders think that they can do it alone. So I want to ask other founders, what has been their experience? Why are you doing what you're doing? And what have been the challenges that made you understand, okay, this is not the right way. This could be a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. So the floor is yours. And then from there, I will ask you some even more direct questions.
Yeah, that's a super interesting approach, Alan. Indeed, I become a founder when I was 27, more or less, 26. I studied computer science, and then I went into consultancy, this international firm, up or out system, working 16 hours a day. The thing is that I started very, very early, and I've been through all, let's say, different phases of a founder, starting 3 guys, from university, and growing in less than 2 years to more than 100 people with several projects, venture capital money, investments, and all that. And as you said, I studied computer science, and I think I didn't have one single hour of tuition in my career for the things that were necessary, or that are necessary for this journey. Not a single hour. I knew a lot about algorithms, AI, all that stuff, all that shit. That none of that was useful in the journey, because I give you an example. The night before my wedding, I was getting married. I was doing this exercise. I was in front of an Excel file in a video call with executive committee, because I had to fire 1/3 of the people of the company next week, and that was the day before, the night before my wedding, and I can tell you that's not the thing that you that you want to do in any circumstances, but under those circumstances, and it's a terrible exercise. I still recall the Excel file with like different columns, because we had to select 30 people to lay off, to fire. And it was okay. If they have family, we give them 3 points. If they don't have family, even we have this column trying to figure it out how easy we're going to be for them to find a new job. So it's not, no, it's bad. It's wrong. The exercise, nobody. So nobody prepares you to do these kind of things. Nobody prepares you to do this kind of thing. And what you said that you got into meditation and so on. I think that one of the things that helped me a lot, to keep my peace of mind. I started practicing martial arts when I was a kid, and I kept doing that for my life, and that connects you, mind, body, some kind of also some aspects of meditation and to it, and I've been always relying, on let's say on finding a different way of seeing of how do you think of how do you think. What is my point on this? So one of the things that I do as an entrepreneur, or we do, is that we see things that are broken, or that you see an opportunity, or things that could be in a different, a better way, and you try to fix that. Okay, and that way you came out with a value proposition, with a company or whatever. But what if you apply that mindset to everything that you do? For instance, to be a founder itself, or to entrepreneurship itself. And what I found out is that being a founder or being an entrepreneur, the way it is sold to us, or the way it is done, it's broken somehow. It's wrong. It's like, why it should be like that? Why it should be like many hours, like suffering, like if you don't have a story of struggling and suffering, it is like worthless somehow.
You didn't do it enough.
Yeah, all that shit is wrong. So we developed some tools that I think are useful. But the first, one of the first tools that I started using when we founded Happyforce 10 years ago, it is an exercise we do once a year. We sit down the founders, and we do this visualization exercise. We close the eyes. You have to close your eyes and visualize your bank account, and then it's boom, $1 billion, €1 billion. Okay, your bank account, tax-free, already there. Okay, you have to be super precise. And then it's okay. Now you have that money. How do your life is going to change in the next year and a half, 18 months? 1 year, couple of years. What would you like to do? Oh man, I really enjoy, traveling the world. I would like to go to Thailand and do it. Okay, do it. You just go to Thailand, go to Bangkok, go to China, explore the world. Okay, you've been for 18 months doing that. Yeah, and in any way that you like to be like on bed and breakfast, or you want to go, to Four Seasons,
5-star hotel after 18 months.
You got 18 months doing that. Okay, and then somehow you already traveled all the world. You have been in many different places, and it's okay. Now what? You do it again? Another round of the world? You try to go to Mars? What do you want to do? Maybe you enjoy cars. Buy a car, buy 2 cars, buy 3 cars. I mean, buy any amount of cars, motorcycles. I mean, do whatever you want to do. At the end of the thing, you see that you come back to the starting point. Maybe you have spent, a couple million of euros, but you come back to the starting place, which is you take money, or you take out the things that you do with money, you take that things out of the equation, and then it's okay, now what? What is the important thing? And one of the things that happened with that changed with Happyforce compared with other ventures is that the answer to that exercise is okay, after doing all that stuff, what I want to do is the same thing that I'm doing right now, which is working in something that I love with the people that I love. And then it's okay, now we already have that. So it's not about quarterly goals, growth, exit, and then done, I'm a successful entrepreneur. Is that we are already successful. Okay, the only thing is that the only thing that may change is the number of cars or how large is your apartment. But for the rest, you're already there. And that changes everything because it gives you a mindset that is, let's say, more long term. And I didn't want to use the term, these long term words. It's more, what if you take things towards the infinite, in the sense that, instead of measuring time or working by goals and objectives and quarterly, what do you think that, what do you take life or take things or take entrepreneurship as something that you're going to do till the last day of your life? Would you do the same things that you're doing right now? That is my point. It's like, okay, what I'm doing today, I have to take this till the last day of my life. This is what I want to do. And then you got the answer that you cannot be like working 16 hours a day. You cannot be sacrificing your health, your relationships, because you say that you super fast, you see that wouldn't work.
But how do you even know what do you want to do until the day that you die then? Because I give you my example. I have started my first company when I was 19. And then I failed after 2.5 years, something like that. And then not even finishing more or less the previous company, that I met my co-founder from the previous company, and we ran it for 7.5, almost 8 years. And what happened for me in the past year, it's been, okay, I thought that I knew what I wanted to do, but in the next 7 years, like in the past 7 years, I grew up so much that my point of view on reality changed. So for sure, my goal as well changed.
Yeah. The way I face that question that you ask is the following: is I don't care about finding what I want to do. I don't care. What is important for me is how I do it.
Okay, and now I see.
So that way, it's not important what you do. I mean, you have to be connected with some purpose. Of course, if you tell me, to found a company building weapons, probably I wouldn't do that. But that's
Yeah, but that's a how anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, how do you do it? How do you live it in a daily basis? What the decisions are? How do you feel it? How you enjoy it? So when I bring my focus to the how, then the what is not that important. This is like my journey with practicing martial arts. I started with karate, then taekwondo, then jiu-jitsu, then now Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So and when I found out that the thing that I enjoy the most is being white belt, because when you are white belt is when you have more things to learn, with the least amount of pressure. So that way, I became, karate black belt, and then I started from scratch, from taekwondo.
And you don't have,
and then
what I like about this is, like, somehow you're also telling me, when you're black belt, then you also need to fight for maintaining the status. Instead, when you go white, then you're learning.
What is the best? Is the only thing that you can do is to learn, and what people can expect is that you do it wrong, you know. So that's perfect, but then you have to fight your ego at the same time, because people that somehow get a black belt, or you know, they get some level of proficiency in anything, they don't want to do all the things that make them feel, you know, again, a beginner, a learner, something that, you know, they these kind of things that make you feel insecure. The thing is, as I'm finding, you know, my happiness or my pleasure in the way you do things, in learning, you know, in exploring, in being curious. So that is great, because I don't have to, you know, focus on what is the next project or the next martial art that I'm going to learn. It's like, okay, I'm going to do. And for instance, now I recently started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, 1 year ago. And my mindset, it's always the same. I'm gonna do this till the last day of my life, and that changes everything. It's not people they train, you know, because they want to go to this competition, and then what they do is they put a lot of focus on that competition, because I want to compete with the Europeans, and then they start looking at their diet, you know, training a lot, you know, putting a lot of effort, and then eventually they do the competition. And then they stop doing all that great stuff that they were doing. What if you say, I'm going to be training this till the day that I'm dying? So then also your mindset and the way you train has to change, because it's like, okay, if I want to do this with 90 years old, I need to practice in a different way. And the goal is not to win that competition.
The goal is to get to 90 and be able to do it.
I keep enjoying doing this. So when you put this time, you know, when this like long-term view, everything changes, because then you are not in a rush. It's like, imagine that you have some challenges in your relationship with, I don't know, with a friend, with a partner in life, and then if you want to fix that fast, because it feels like you are in the fire and you cannot, you know, you cannot hold that ashes, you know, like in the, how do you say, not the ashes, but you know, when the coal is red, you cannot hold it in hand because it's burning.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you have to let that go and fix it quickly. Then you are clumsy, and then things go wrong. But if you say, okay, I'm gonna be your friend till the last day of my life, I'm gonna work on that. Maybe today I'm clumsy, I don't know, I'm not finding the way, but I'm not gonna quit. But I'm not in a rush yet. So it's like that way, it helps me a lot to face life and entrepreneurship and everything. And if you think about that, this is sort of other reference that I take. Actually, the way that you may grow a company, and which is when in doubt, what I do is I look at nature. I try to find the answers in how nature works. For instance, I give you one thing that was feeling wrong for me in other ventures that I took venture capital, you know, and super exponential growth. It feels bad. It feels bad. On the heart, it feels bad. Growing exponentially, growing 2 digits, something is wrong, man. And then if you look at nature, if you look at what kind of organisms grow in an exponential rate, you have viruses and cancer. You know, if you look at nature, nature grows. I mean, nature grows, of course. It's growing, it's evolving, it's adapting. But exponential growth only happens in this, you know, so it's something is wrong. I mean, if you're asking your company to grow at an exponential rate, it turns into a cancer. And then people suffer. Either, you know, employees suffer, clients suffer, providers suffer, founders suffer. I mean, when you go that, because you are working in an unnatural way, in an unnatural rhythm.
You already answered the question that I was going to ask you, because it's like, if you say that, try to act as you're gonna do this thing until the day you die, then how this works with VC kind of mentality. But of course you already answered. Look, I want to ask you another one. No, go for it.
Yeah, and it has its nuances, because maybe a VC may say that you are not what is the word? Not aggressive enough, but you know that that you want to that you want to. No, of course I want to grow like nature. I want to grow. I don't want to stay like this, you know, like something small. And then, no, I want to grow. I want to reach more people. But how to do that? That is important. How do you do that in a natural way, you know, in a way that you are adding, that you are bringing more value to. So if you think about that, it's easier to find answers like, you know.
Let me make a quick break from the show to explain you why this project came alive. 6 months ago, I started a new journey. I started interviewing founders to discover what were their secret sauces for success. But even more importantly, I was curious to understand how much pain they had to go through to succeed in their ventures. We all know how this painful journey is, but very few people are willing to talk about it. And that's exactly what we're doing at the Founder Bible, breaking the narrative of toxic hustle culture and showing the real, true deepness of these experiences. And if you're curious to know about my own personal journey, then go to wholegrainwisdom.com, where I'm sharing my learnings on physical, mental, and emotional health. This is a question that I ask everyone, going back to the topic of like the difference between an athlete and a founder. So if you had, as you like, kind of the exercise that you mentioned to me before, in this case it's not on if you had unlimited amount of money per se, but if you had unlimited possibilities and you could design your ideal training team, like personal training team for yourself, not necessarily for the company, you have 5 seats. Who would you put in? Who or what? Like also a skill or a method is good, not necessarily a person.
Oh, okay. You're not talking about yeah, the metaphor would work in both directions. Nutrition, food for me is like I'm a frustrated nutritionist in the sense that I've read a lot and I made many different trials. Why is nutrition important for me? Because first of all, the things that you eat, they have a huge impact on how you feel and how you think. That's amazing. If you are aware enough, you can feel that. I'm not talking about being, you know, fit, you know, your body fat. But no.
I took out gluten after 10 years of depression, so definitely know what you're talking about.
Or sugar, sugar. For instance, I'll give you an example. Sugar and fear, for me, they come together. You know, eating a lot of sugar and not being able to deal with fear, for me, is like, I cannot explain it, but take a look at that. The more sugar you eat, the more fearful that I am. It's amazing, you know, how it drains my energy. So, but anyway, for me, you know, that someone that advises you, you know, how important this is, it would then movement is, I'm not doing physical exercise, is every kind of moving your body, and it's not just, you know, running, is moving, is because the more your body, the more my body is flexible, the more my body is strong, the more my body, you know, is again, it changes the way that I think, the way I relate with others, the way, and also for me, if you think that about your health, when you lose your health, then you only have one priority, which is, you know, getting your health back. When you feel okay, more or less your health is under control, then you can have many priorities, you know, your company, your family, you know, business and these things that you like, surfing, meditation, or whatever. But then when you lose your health, then you only have one priority, which is taking your health back, because otherwise you cannot operate. And I think that coming back to the tools, like movement, in the sense that for movement is dancing, is rhythm, is flexibility, is not just, for instance, if you do, no, I'm doing exercise because I'm running every day, you know, 10K. That's better than not doing anything at all. But you are just, you know, moving your legs in the same direction, you know. Of course, you have to run, you have to jump, you have to juggle with technical. You have to do many things. For that reason, again, I see in martial arts a lot of benefit, because the movement patterns that you find in martial arts are super complex. You use both parts of the body, left and right. You're in the floor. You work with other persons, so it's super complex. You may use external things like weapons, but so it's so rich and complex that it opens up many doors. So you have nutrition, you have movement, and you need someone to teach you to understand your emotions. So that is I don't know if you call it a coach or you name it, but I've been working in the last. I never did coaching since I started 4 years ago. Something changed, my wife for my 40th birthday, she got this present, which she sent me to this Wim Hof winter expedition. I don't know if you know the guy.
Yeah.
Now he's like super famous, but when I went there, like 5 years ago, it was more kind of. So you are there for 1 week, in the mountains and taking these cold ice baths and all that stuff, and something broke inside of me, and in that experience, because I was hating cold, and not hating cold and said I hate cold. It's like I had this cold allergy, So it was and it was a physical response to emotion, to an emotional thing, because cold allergy is like 99%, from here. So I went there, and something broke inside of me. So I started doing coaching, and then I learned a lot of that. Or you say coaching, or you may do meditation or Buddhism, and now I'm reading these 3 pillars of Zen book, which is like from the 70s, which is super good book, that at the end teaches you one thing that for me is the emotional part. Super simple, but breakthrough is like at some point you have to decide in your life. You have like 2 paths. One is either you choose the path of trying to make all the external things and people, to fit your preferences, so you don't feel fear, you don't feel anxiety, you feel well, you feel love. So you try to change everything and everyone outside you, in order to fit that preferences, or you focus on your inside and you say, okay, these are my shits that I have.
Which is a little bit easier normally, and it takes less time.
It takes, but most of it, I was trying to, to change everything. And also, if you're a founder and entrepreneur, which is, things are broken, I'm gonna fix the world, So it's like it's just the opposite of what you have to do with yourself. And you have to decide. So at the moment that you take that commitment, or say, okay, I want to fix myself. Okay, so not working with external things. Again, in this case, it helps a lot to say, I'm going to do that till the last day of my life. I'm going to be clumsy. I'm going to be bad at it. I'm going to be terrible. I'm going to fail, but I'm not going to stop, because I'm not in a rush. So everything changes. So you need nutrition, movement, emotional. And I would say that with that, you have almost everything that you need. You have to 20 chess. I don't know who I would bring to this chess additionally, because you asked me for 5, no?
If you only need 3, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't want to bring the sleeping thing into the table, because I'm very good at that. So I'm still working with improving my sleep. But yes, I would say that, because with that I would call it that. Maybe you can, because in the emotional part, for instance, you have many tools and meditation, like learning how to breathe, properly. I started with this Wim Hof method, and then I got into many, exploring breathing and breathing patterns and breathwork meditations and things like that, which is also something that helps a lot, because but I relate that to dealing with your emotions, because the way you deal with what I realize is that I cannot control my emotions, but what I can control is my breathing. And as my breath has an impact on my emotions, the way that I can deal with my emotions or work a little bit work with them is through my breath. So, but when you realize all that stuff, you have like different tools. And also and I find that exposing myself to the things that I don't want to do, and this, you may do physical things like, ice baths or, sauna, or just having this conversation that you don't want to have with this, with this client, with this partner of yours. So for me, is also the same, which is one of the things that I started doing is everything that I don't want to do, even if it is these guys of laziness or fear, because at the end it's the same. It's something that you want to do, but then you have the excuse of laziness or you have the excuse of fear. I go and do it. That is a sign, that the universe is asking you, to go through that path. You don't want to get that ice bath, get it. And I'm not a kind of geek on ice bath like now, but it's like,
yeah, it's crazy.
You do it because you don't want to, and it's okay. Let's see what happens. You don't want to have that conversation. You go there, you get into that hard conversation, and you see what happens after that. And the more you think that the more you do these things that makes you feel uncomfortable, you see the more you grow, and the better you feel.
So one, I think I'm connecting the dot also with something that Guille told me last time, was for him, entrepreneurship is just like an accelerated learning experience through all the painful things that you cannot avoid. You need to do it yes or yes. You put yourself into that kind of high-speed train, right? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, amazing.
I completely agree with that. I mean, for me, entrepreneurship is just a way of exposing myself. It's my daily ice bath, and in reality.
That's a good sentence.
The amount of growth that I'm taking out of that is for that reason. Would you say, okay, how do you define a successful entrepreneur? I say, if you already started, you are already a successful entrepreneur, I would say. That has nothing to do with you doing an exit or the amount of of revenues your company is doing, or the amount of rounds, or the amount of people that you employ.
Yeah,
that are ancillaries that you have around you, but growing your company, of course, will bring you and brings you to face different fears and different situations. So I think that's a trick.
Amazing. Very interesting. Well, thanks so much for this conversation, Alex. I really enjoyed it.